I don't need to repeat that, do I? Okay.
Okay.
As far as old business, why don't we start by the adoption of the minutes of June 4th? Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Mark? Any
Yeah.
second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. For new business, why don't we start with the Go campaign with Laura?
Valencia, what you don't see is we have our new board member here. We're just waiting for her. So if you don't mind, we'll give her a couple of minutes to introduce herself because this is the first time that she's attending.
Sure, no problem. I didn't realize. Who is it?
Carla?
Hi.
This is the mic.
Hi, so nice to meet you. I'm Carla Silverman. I am Associate Director for Women's Health and Clinical Innovation at the Center for Healthcare Strategies. That's a Medicaid policy organization. I'm a certified nurse midwife by training and worked in an FQHC in New York City for around 10 years. I do Medicaid policy work and I'm an adjunct professor at the NYU Global School of Public Health. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you for joining the committee. We look forward to working with you. Okay, we were just starting. We adopted the minutes of the June 4th meeting, and now we're moving forward with the first agenda item. Laura, would you begin? Hello?
I'm sorry, I apologize. Simple
No
little
problem.
things you have to do, like turn on the mic. So
Yes.
as we enter open enrollment season for MetroPlusHealth Gold, it's a critical time of year for us to engage our city employees in ensuring that they're making confident, informed decisions about their health insurance. Because we know the category is often low engagement and benefits can be confusing, we're developing this year for the first time a truly comprehensive marketing plan that we hope will drive awareness, improve understanding, and support what we'd like to say confident decision-making. So we're going to have 3 objectives with this plan. First, awareness.
Sorry, just a quick comment for everyone, since it is Carla's first time with us. Just add some more explanations. Like, don't just say gold, say what it's about.
Metro
It's all
Plus Health
about.
Gold.
Don't use abbreviations.
Absolutely.
So it's
We'll do
a
that.
more fruitful experience. Yeah, more fruitful experience here.
Absolutely, will do. Okay, wonderful. So our plan this year for MetroPlusHealth Gold will be threefold. Awareness, driving awareness not only with city employees from health and hospitals, but to other city agencies, engaging them with what we're going to demonstrate are interactive tools and memorable messaging to help really drive understanding of what MetroPlusHealth Gold benefits are for our city employees. And then conversion through unique activations, leadership endorsement, plus expanding our provider network. Next slide, Angela, please. So under those 3 tactics, I covered it slightly. Under gold awareness, we're going to focus our efforts on driving H&H employee awareness as well as New York City agency outreach. When we are driving engagement, we're going to focus on MetroPlusHealth Gold member retention, in particular, focusing on 2 unique innovative initiatives that we're launching this year, a mobile onboarding app plus a white glove concierge service, which Brenda will take us through shortly. And the third component of our tactic is expanding our provider network so employees can access care both inside and outside of our 5 boroughs, and Lila will touch on that shortly as well. Slide 3, please. Now, while we market MetroPlusHealth Gold year-round, both direct to consumer and through B2B channels, this open enrollment period for us is very unique this year. We're rolling out what I like to identify as unique first ever tactics to break through the noise and help employees feel confident in their decision-making process. Next slide. So at the heart of our campaign is a key insight that we uncovered, which is basically that consumers are confused by the benefits category. They often don't know what their benefits actually are, and they often feel very overwhelmed by their choices. And frankly, this is common for the average consumer as it is common for a New York City employee that's as closely connected to the category. So our campaign is to build on this pretty much head on with the simple, empowering message, more than you expected, but exactly what you need. And our goal is to speak to the real value of MetroPlusHealth Gold and position us as a trusted, reliable option in a very cluttered landscape. Next slide. So this year, what is unique is that we're going to be executing this campaign across multiple mediums. And this is one execution of the campaign that's going to live in New York City Health and Hospitals. We have a network called Health Media Network, which allows us to put posters, both digital and printed, throughout the hospitals, where this is available to all employees so that they can truly become familiar with the brand. As you can see by the execution, we're driving the MetroPlusHealth Gold name front and center. We're talking about it being, a very top-rated plan, which is critically important to enforce with our city employees, where every execution, there's about 8 to 10 of these, talks about a unique point of difference and or benefit that we deliver, whether it's wellness apps that are covered, whether it's acupuncture, rewards. One of my favorite executions is the one in the middle that reinforces retention. 99% of members stay with Gold who do sign up for the plan. So we know it's very important to help reinforce that with our members. And as you can see, we're driving significant branding with both the New York City Health and Hospitals and MetroPlusHealth Gold logo. Next slide. Another unique tactic this year, which we have done before, but we're doing it slightly differently because it's a strong Gold message, is we're going to be on media for 5 weeks. It'll start running the last week of October through the end of November. We're going to be on New York 1, News 12, and Pix 11. It will allow us to reach about 75% of all New York City employees that have access to Spectrum, and it will reach them a minimum of 6+ times. So we're pretty excited about the reach and frequency with the very strong Gold message. It will be a 30-second TV commercial that we're going to be producing next week, and it will be based, all predicated on the campaign insight that I just mentioned, which is more than you expected, exactly what you need. Next slide, Angela. In addition, we're doing something very unique this year. So everyone's hopefully familiar with the fact that we launched Salesforce Marketing Cloud, which is a customer relationship marketing tool that we use to automate the delivery of text messages and emails. And it allows us to send a standard text message. And I apologize, it's not showing up here. Our next generation on Salesforce Marketing Cloud is to create what we call multimedia messaging service. And what this is, it's the typical text messages you might get, let's say, from a Ralph Lauren or someone who's selling something in retail. It's messages that are interactive. They have sound, they have movement, they have music, and it's just the next generation of being able to engage our Gold members. So we're very excited about launching this as part of the campaign. Every Gold member we're reaching out to is going to get somewhere around 8 to 10 messages over the course of the next several weeks. Next slide. In addition to TVIA and the use of multimedia texting and emailing, we've developed a plethora of items and toolkits for our salespeople so that the teams working on the ground can help ensure that they're ready, confident, and equipped to educate employees during the key decision-making window. Next slide. We've also developed targeted materials to reach out to benefits managers across the city, making sure that they have the tools and the information that they need to educate and guide their employees, because we know that when benefits managers are well-informed, their teams are also well-informed. To date, both sales and our government relations teams have reached out to over 77 plus benefits offices and managers, and they're generating a significant number of meetings and activations and interactions. Next slide. And the next couple of slides show other activations that we're doing, things through Gold webinar promotions and leveraging our website where we get significant traffic monthly. Next slide. We are doing specific promotions for our union partners throughout the system as well. And next slide. We also have a robust digital and social media campaign as well. Next slide. I talked a little bit about reaching out to the benefits managers throughout New York City agencies. So 77 offices contacted with over 90 plus visits scheduled throughout the transfer period. And I'm going to hand this over to Brenda. This is an initiative that we're doing right now to help drive retention with our gold members. Two specific programs that we're launching that will engage our members in the first 90 days as they onboard with the plan. So I'm going to have Brenda just explain this very briefly for us.
Thank you, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you, Laura. What our goal out of both the Usher and the concierge program is to roll out and make the onboarding experience, the new member experience, smoother and more engaging for our new members. Our ultimate goal on this is very simple. We want to help members from day one feel supported so they stay with us longer. Especially given that we have the new mandate where our H&H partners are now joining MetroPlus in year one. The Usher onboarding pilot, which is a digital self-guided application, walks members through some very critical points in their early journey that we know is correlated to retention. They learn about their benefits on the app, they register for the member portal, they're able to select a PCP, and they book their first appointment where necessary using the app. Additionally, we guide them to Express Care, where they can really leverage the virtual visit option. And more importantly, why this matters is it's scalable. It reduces a lot of the manual activities that we currently perform by calling members and asking them to do all of these extra activities. But it also gives members bit of control over their onboarding experience. They can either go in and complete all of these activities in one fell swoop, or over a period of 30 to 45 days where we continue to remind them to complete a lot of these early activities. In addition, we also launched the Gold Concierge program on August 18th. This is a digital and human, if you will, option where members may get an Usher text that then allows them to, if they have any issues, contact the concierge service. The concierge service is specifically focused on only new Gold members, and it's delivered in partnership with a company called Sutherland, where a dedicated team is available to support our members, both on demand and proactively. It supports with personalized help with benefits and all of the other options that we discussed earlier during that new member journey. And overall, what we're trying to do is understand whether these pilots are going to improve trust, build loyalty, and ultimately long-term retention. And we're going to do this by tracking key metrics across the life cycle of these programs, by looking at call volumes, portal registrations, but ultimately our goal is going to be to look at member satisfaction and retention. And I'll hand over back to
Next
Laura.
slide. Lila, do you want to take expanding our provider network?
I'm the COO. Introduce myself. So we have, in addition to our existing Gold members who reside in the boroughs, we have identified about 2,000 members who actually live in Westchester and Long Island. And so they have been trying to receive their care by coming into the 5 boroughs. And so now we're looking to expand access to care out in Westchester and Long Island. And we're going to be extending our network out there, and we're looking at NYU. We're looking at our PAR providers who also have sites out in Long Island and Westchester. So we're excited to be able to offer that, as well as our DME and our pharmacy vendors as well. So that's something that we are looking to do, to go live on January 1st of 2026. So we're updating our provider directory. So it would be labeled as Gold only members who have access to that. So that's what we're doing.
Now, on a final note, everybody here at about 4 p.m. will get on their cell phone 2 text messages. As if you were a Gold member, it's 2 of our 10 messages. We won't send you all 10, but you'll get 2 of our interactive messages. So you'll get a good understanding of what the multimedia experience is. So if you do see 2 text messages come along sometime around 4 p.m., we just want you to experience what a Gold member is going to be experiencing, which we're very excited about because we think it really is the next generation in texting. So we're super excited. And I think in general, I would say I've been here 2 years. It's been a phenomenal experience. Today, yes, it is. Thank you, Talia. It's been an incredible journey, and I've never been more excited about Gold as I am this year. And we've all rolled up our sleeves. We've really understood what our members need, both within H&H and outside of H&H, and I think we've done a phenomenal job of pulling together the most comprehensive plan we can put out there to educate people and help people make the confident decision about what plan to choose. So very, very excited to see our results coming out of this period.
Me too. And just to state the obvious, and with Roger here, we're entering the critical phase of the gold product for city employees and their dependents. And this is the time to push as hard as we possibly can. We certainly have headwinds. We always do. We're used to them. But this is our opportunity, especially ahead of the new product. Maybe you saw in the news that the PPO offering for city employees, which is a combination of Emblem and United, is going to go into effect in 2026. And it's not obvious to us whether it's going to have a positive effect, negative effect, or no effect on us. But any change obviously increases, well, both the opportunity and potentially the challenges for us. So this is our time to shine. I know a lot of people around the table are working very, very hard to push this forward and to gain as many members as we possibly can, and then deliver on their experience, right? It's not just to sell. It's bring them in because they believe in what we do, and then show them that they made the right decision. And literally everybody here has a role to play in doing both.
I'd just like to add to what Talia's been screaming for the last year. So access is the key to people's awareness of the benefits of the program. I've seen it firsthand this week alone. I spent a lot of time at both city agencies and an H&H hospital in front of city employees. And when they learn about the rich benefits that we're offering and how it compares to what they've been used to, they light up, and many of them want to make a change. But it's all about as much access we get to get in front of them, because a lot of them, they lack awareness that there is a competing plan that really is beneficial to them. So, we've been saying it and we're preaching it, that if we get more access to expose and promote, we will see that growth continue.
It's an exciting and high stakes period for us here. So hopefully we will emerge on the other side of it with the numbers we're hoping to see.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tomasz. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tomasz, and I'm going to talk briefly about Project Edge. So for those new to the room, I just want to give a brief overview of what Project Edge is. Project Edge is our business-wide transformation program. We're implementing new clinical documentation systems, care management platforms, as well as a core processing system that does everything from claims to everything downstream. Basically, we're replacing the heart and the lungs of the health plan. We're doing
the engine.
The engine, yes.
It's not the heart.
I was thinking different terms. All right. We're doing it.
Find out what that's here too, and the same thing.
No, all right.
At least I'm consistent.
All right. Maybe what musculoskeletal system. Never mind.
Body terms.
That's right.
What did I
Car
think
terms.
Matt said, what was it? The spine and all of the nerves.
We're doing it to modernize our operations and improve our automation, improve how quickly we're able to respond to changes and customer needs, and really essentially to enable us to more effectively serve our customers. Since we last spoke, we've made significant progress. We've completed the implementation of the platform, and we've continued our testing. Despite the progress, several of the risks that we've previously talked about manifested as issues, causing us to make a very difficult decision and push out our time frame. The key issues that we've experienced are around three areas. The first one is around billing. You've heard about our risk around billing in the past. The billing product that Health Edge was developing for our behalf was still a work in progress for New York. And while we've expected to uncover some issues in that product, both the severity and the volume of issues that we've identified since we began testing it caused us to really put together a very, caused us to have to take remediative action beyond what we've anticipated. The teams have worked day in and day out to validate the solution, identify the remaining gaps and issues, and really focus on their remediation, but that required a shift in the timeline that extended our overall program duration. The next area where we encounter significant issues is claims. When you think about claims, you think about being able to ensure you're paying your providers, your partners accurately and timely. We've identified issues that showed we were not going to be able to confirm we'd be able to do that with the timeliness and precision an organization like ours requires of ourselves. For that reason, we've decided to broaden the scope and extend the duration of our testing effort to ensure that when we do go live with the solution now in December, we're going to meet the needs of our partners and customers. And lastly is with data conversion, most specifically the reverse conversion component, again, a technical term that talks about taking the data from these platforms and merging it into our data repository so we're able to report effectively to our stakeholders based on our full book of business, whether it was processed on legacy platforms or the new ones. So those were the areas of issues. Now, what are we doing differently to ensure that we don't run into issues like this in the future? And how are we managing the program differently? We've done a couple of things. At the end of July, we reorganized the program and we put a MetroPlus leader on point for every domain, for every work stream. We've asked them to develop and track against get to green plans or get to done plans and domain. And we're working with them to complete the testing and remediation of issues that is necessary to bring the first go live to fruition, again, in December. We're meeting with the teams daily, meaning they have an escalation channel where they get to me or many other leaders against MetroPlus on a daily basis to report the progress as well as any issues that they're facing in completing testing or completing the remediation of any of our key issues. So we're really managing this program with the MetroPlus first approach. We have MetroPlus leaders leading the effort, and we are managing it very tightly. I mean, there's daily attentions from the executive team to ensure that our teams have no roadblocks that prevent them from being successful. So we've done a number of things to ensure that we will be successful, and we anticipate to go live with our first release for the HIV population in December. Now, this delay in wave 1 had a subsequent impact to future waves. We had a 60-day delay to wave 1. We anticipate a 60-day delay to our future waves as well, caused by this initial challenge. Again, working with our partners to get it done.
No, I was just asking if there were any questions thus far.
Now, I'll just comment that besides reorganizing ourselves, we also adjusted our expectations from our partners. So as you know, we have multiple partners in this complex project. So yes, we are taking more ownership and more leadership. So now it's us and only us who are responsible for every domain, but also we have significant contracts with other large vendors who are supposed to help us both with managing this project and testing the project. And so I know there has been ongoing daily more intense management with those vendors. So together, we will launch in December, and there's no other option.
Thank you. You can go through the subsequent set of slides quickly. I think we've talked about the items on the slides before of our risks and the issues that we've encountered. We can keep going. Just a summary of our timeline. And
Tomas, would you mind giving just a couple of highlights because Carla is new and she may not be familiar with some of the risks and issues?
Sure. Again, I think we talked about the challenges we face with billing, with claims, as well as reverse conversion, and the timeline situation that we're under. I think the biggest risk that we talk about to this program is timeline. And the timeline is driven by the fact that our TPA relationship, our current supplier for the system, as well as operations behind it, is exiting this business. So we're on a fixed timeline to complete the migration. And a delay like this, of course, has impacts from our program perspective and a cost perspective. But ultimately, we're timeline constrained, and that is our biggest risk that we're worried of. Thank you for that comment, Valencia. Again, from a timeline perspective, I want to talk about 3 components. Our wave 1 is our first wave. We talk about the HIV SNP population. It's a relatively small population and we'll be launching in December. Our second go live is all about volume. We're adding our Medicaid and heart populations to the program. We're going to put the vast majority of our lives onto the platform in wave 2. Wave 3, we bring in on our commercial populations as the gold care programs that we talked about earlier, as well as our CHIP and MLTC programs. There is a lot of complexity and new features that we'll need to enable that. The last wave that you see here is called BPaaS, our business processing as a service. We have a partner that we've selected to run our MA and QHP books of business. We've chosen to have a partner run these books of business for us because we don't have the scale necessary to do it cost effectively. Also, the timeline itself lends itself to us engaging a partner to support us with this implementation rather than us trying to do everything all on our own. So it's both a cost-effective measure as well as a risk mitigation measure for us.
I mean, the most concerning part here is just, and you can see it visually, it's all the overlaps, which is going to make 2026 probably the most challenging year so far. Not that 2025 is a walk in the park by any stretch, but we're talking about, I mean, those overlaps are significant. And we really have to think long and hard how we're gonna organize ourselves outside of, this project that Tomas just talked about to get through successfully. Because 2026 is also the year that we're expecting HR1 to start having impact on our business. It's the time that we expect the state, right, to give us additional guidance, both for 26 and in preparation for 27. So 2026 is really going to be an extremely ambitious year for us. And so we're thinking right now proactively, how do we prepare as a company to make sure that this is successful with all of the overlaps here and with everything else that we anticipate to happen in 26. So probably this requires the most planning, the most careful planning that I would venture to say that we've done ever to get through this, in at least mentally in one piece.
Any questions before we wrap up the Project Edge section?
I mean, I would just ask you to give I know we had a lot of challenges and we have delays, but just a quick update for the committee from this week.
From this week. Okay. Well, again, I started earlier talking about that we are in the midst of testing our solution, testing, identifying issues, and remediating the issues. We're at a phase where we fairly rapidly take break fix releases from our partners to resolve issues and get our system more and more functional. I think there's key metrics that I look at. I look at the percentage of our test scenarios that have been executed, and I look at the number of high severity issues that remain unresolved. I think when we think about the key areas that we track daily, very much aligned with the issues. Our billing, our reverse conversion, as well as claims. When we talk about billing, we're approximately 30% of the way through testing. We're only about 30% of the way through testing because we still have a number of features that are blocked from an end-to-end execution perspective. Again, those are on track to be remedied in early October, but that's where we are from an overall solution readiness. When we pivot to claims, we also talk about the percentage of scenarios and the number of issues that we have. In claims, we're north of 50% of the way through claims execution. We still have a number of significant issues that need to be validated as completed, retested, and fixed, but we're in the between 50 and 60% of a text execution perspective. Reverse conversion, we're in the middle of the break fix cycles. We performed our first loads of the data through our complex set of processes, and we're midway through the process of remedying them. So from an overall testing and defect remediation perspective, I think we're about, Ganesh, you probably have a better number on top of your head. I'd say we're probably 20% of the way through testing our reverse conversion efforts. Has multiple parts, and we've tested the first few parts. But when we think about the overall end-to-end process, we expect that by the end of October, we should be completed. But all in all, we're still about 20 some odd percent way through testing. Any corrections or? Thank you. And
So progress, but still ways to go.
Exactly. Ways to go. I mean, to Tomas's point on the billing, when they deployed the billing module, when they deployed, see, I'm the mic monitor, everybody else. Me too. When we deployed the billing module, we would have expected not immediately the next day some other issues that arose, but they were quick to add some additional code. I think they're deploying that new code today, right? So
yeah.
So they're making quick turnaround to it, but there's still a lot of growing pains.
We also refreshed the pre-prod environment.
Yeah.
So a lot of the defects that we cured, we're able to see it now. And so we're running through parallel testing a little bit more easily because the defects were fixed.
Yep.
So again, back to the significance of the numbers just for 1 second. Once I'm done executing everything, that's when I could say I've done all the testing, I've identified all the issues that I'm going to get. And the moment that I get to that 90-100% mark, I will know the full universe of everything I've got to fix. I think the numbers I shared earlier show just how much of that identification we've completed. Out of everything that we've identified to date, we believe that we have a path to resolution for every single item. So that's where we stand from an overall status perspective.
Okay.
Thank you. Salesforce expansion. I know we excluded this one from the agenda earlier up above, so I'll go give a very quick update. Salesforce is one pane of glass platform that we're going to use across the enterprise, and that we use already across many domains of the enterprise. It's a lot of value to it. Our plan for this year was to roll it out to the retention team as well as the sales team. The retention team is using this platform today. We rolled it out approximately a month ago. And the sales team is going live the first week of October. They've completed their user acceptance testing. There's a few things that need to be buttoned up, but they're being trained and they're going to go live next week. So we're making the progress that we committed to here to enable our teams to use this platform. Just the value of this is not just the system, but the fact that it brings all data together at the fingertips of the folks who interact with our customers. The mail that we've sent them, the correspondence that they've had, the past interactions, it really enabled us to serve all of our customers, members, providers, brokers, whoever it may be, much more effectively than using standalone platforms, each of which having its access to its own data. We also want to use it as a workflow tool across the organization. Lots of really exciting capabilities it offers us. I think we can go through this quickly. Again, incremental deployment and whatnot. So thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Any questions around Salesforce before we move on?
No, I'll just say, I'll connect to my statements from before. We have to be more efficient to tackle all of the challenges of 26. So Salesforce is one of the ways to get more efficient. There are many, many others, but that's essentially what we should be taking on. The only thing we should be taking on besides regulatory and health edge is how do we become more efficient with the tools that are available to us. So in that context, this progress is really important.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I'm Masood Mehdi, Deputy Chief Operating Officer, and it's my first time presenting to the full board meeting, so I appreciate the opportunity to do so. Want to talk a little bit about call center. So our call center that serves all our members. Members call in for all our LOBs, for all our plans. We've seen over the years, over the last 3 years, you can see there's call volume declined over the prior year, while overall membership remained stable. So this can be attributed to some operational improvements, including some strong member communications as well, and also some tools for members to self-serve, which allows them to address their questions and concerns and reduces the number of calls coming in. Okay, next slide, please. One of the key things that we use to measure our call center performance is abandonment rate, which is the number of people, the percentage of callers who hang up before they are served by our customer service representatives, or CSRs. If you see what 2023 and 2024, you can see that this year, which is purple, 2025, is significantly improved. There's a lot of effort that went in 2024 to bring that down, and continues still today. Our goal is to have under 5% abandonment rate for members, and we are achieving that quite successfully for this year. Of course, in December and January will of course be peaks, especially January. So we do expect to see a peak, but we have a plan to address it quite well for this year. So this is a significant improvement from where we were over prior years, and we tend to continue to improve. Okay, next slide, please. That was a members call, so I should have specified that in the beginning. Those were the call from the members. This is the call from providers. So its call volume is trending lower in 2025, even after we factor for the impact of Change Healthcare. So last year there was a Change Healthcare outage, which resulted in a significant number of providers calling us, especially in the March, April, May timeframe. So even when you account for that, we are seeing some lower call volumes. Again, self-service tools, a big focus that we've been working on across the organization to provide to our members and to our providers. More active provider interaction communication from the provider network team, and CSRs also assisting with multiple inquiries per single call. We used to limit that to two. We allow it now to 3 on some occasions. So that's all helped in bringing the call volume down. Provider abandonment rate shows a pretty similar story to members, fast improvement from 2023 and 2024. Here, our goal is to keep it under 10%. And once again, we are doing a pretty good job of achieving that. So that's been a good success story, and we look forward to continuing to keep these abandonment rates down. Talk about net NPS for a bit. Net Promoter Score, which is scaled from -100 to 100, and the way it's calculated is when you ask someone a question from 0 to 10, how likely you are to recommend a product, a plan, a service. It's really the 9s and the 10s minus the 0 to 6s. 7 and 8s are excluded. So it's really a differential, and that's why you have a -100 to 100 range. If you look at 2024 in the 30s, which is a reasonable score, but you want to be better than that. You don't want to be there. It is tougher, especially in our environment, healthcare, health insurance environment. But we worked on it a lot. We really worked on doing that. There's been the ELT has really pushed us to do a better job here. So we focus a lot on call quality. We've had very robust call quality reviews. We've focused on the tools that we give to our members, etc. We've there's a lot of effort in our CSRs into training them and how to approach member problems as well. And we're seeing all-time highs. And we were seeing scores in the upper 50s, lower 60s, which is pretty remarkable. And I try to use this example just for benchmarking, of course, not in the same industry, but 60s are scores that you see with companies like Apple and Google and those type of companies. So it's a pretty good place to be. But of course, it's not apples to apples because we are different environments. But I would say that even works against us for us to have this high score. That doesn't mean we're going to settle on this. We want to keep it here and slowly try to increase it. The more we do for our members, the better. And then also I'll say that another question, and this is captured in call survey, post-call survey to our members. Another question we ask is how did how was the CSR? How do you rate from 1 to 5 the customer service representative? And that's also pretty high. That's at 4.75 in July. So we're showing a good trend there.
Laura and Brenda, remind me how it compares to the concierge?
Concierge is higher.
What are the numbers? Do you remember?
Currently at 4.8, and
Okay,
we don't have full mass yet, so we don't have enough.
okay, but
great.
impressive
Yeah.
nevertheless. This is not concierge, this is general call center.
Questions?
Excellent progress.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, Brenda.
Good afternoon again. Oh. Goodness. I'm Brenda Sridhar. I didn't get to introduce myself earlier. I'm the Vice President of Customer Experience at MetroPlus. Thank you, Masood, for doing the primer on Net Promoter Score. For us, why we measure it and why it matters is a high score means people are happy and they're likely to stay. And even potentially bring others, which is what that recommendation element is. And a low score means we need to fix something and we need to fix it fast. So a lot of what we do with this customer experience trending is to track progress, spot issues early, and follow up with our members where we need to. So over the past 7 months, what you see are charts across all of the customer service, customer-facing organizations, including the call center. We have customer-facing divisions in medical management, in sales, in customer success that handles recertification of our members. But what we're really seeing is an upward trend and a meaningful shift in how we are being experienced by our customers. The data is telling us a clear story. Our efforts to engage with our customers, streamline operations, and empower our frontline teams are really translating into measurable loyalty and satisfaction. I'll walk through 3 key drivers behind that record high Net Promoter Score. The first one is the NPS momentum, which is at 75% of promoters right now. So 3 out of 4 members are promoters in our organization. The call center, thank you again, Masood, has hit a record high Net Promoter Score level, both in April and in June. And that, of course, allows us to lift the overall average because call center has the highest number of calls that end up getting reported. And medical management has always been at a record high, so these aren't isolated wins. They reflect a system-wide uplift. The second key point is what is driving it? What's driving it is consistency. We've built a rhythm around reporting, follow-ups, and training across all our frontline teams. The data gets really dissected by all of our leadership teams across the organization. And what they're doing then is translating that into operational discipline to better our customer outcomes. And the third feature is customer delight. Our customer satisfaction overall was at 4.7 out of 5, the highest we've ever had, with 68% of the respondents calling their experience delightful. And our employees are actually being recognized. They get called out by name. And in fact, with some being rated 4.79 out of 5, with strong marks for helpfulness and respect. Next slide, please. So if we take a deeper dive into how this plays out across our different lines of business, not all of them function similarly. Members come in with very different expectations depending on the line of business we're in. But what we really see here is Medicare leads the way. Medicare members always give us the highest Net Promoter Score, but this is one of the highest we've seen, 71 for the year-to-date data. And this segment, to me, is really setting the standard for what great customer experience looks like. Followed that by Medicaid and Essential Plan. They account for 72% of the responses, and they're also showing pretty high satisfaction. The next point is issue resolution. Across nearly 17,000 respondents, we've resolved 93% of the issues that our members have brought forth to us. That's a strong signal of trust and responsiveness. The remaining 7%, mostly related to benefits, renewals, and ID cards, are really now our strategic focus areas for improvement. That's really simple opportunities that we can capitalize on. And then finally, strategic implications. This data really gives us a clear path forward. Learn what's working on Medicare and leverage that to lift any underperforming segments. Continue to invest in employee training and process optimization, because what we are seeing is real momentum and we really have a great opportunity to build on it. That's it. Any questions?
Brenda, when we say benefits 14%, it's not that it's unresolved. They may be unhappy with
Yeah, it's always
the
a mix.
answer.
Yeah,
Yes.
they could be unhappy with the answer, or they came in expecting something different because they didn't understand their benefits, going back to the point Laura made in the beginning. So it's starting with that education piece early on as well. So everything's connected. Yep.
How could an ID card be unresolved?
Yeah, it shocks us every time when we get that. It could be a mix of them not having received their ID card and them asking multiple times. So if they're calling back a second time or a third time, it's a real source of frustration. So that comes up quite often. And the good news is the volume of requests on ID cards and the volume of negative sentiment on ID cards has gone down, but we still have some opportunity for improvement there.
You want to talk about, we identified a bug in our process.
Yeah. So the story of the ID card had its own evolution. Initially, what we identified was that because the address coming in from the state was long with a lot of spaces, we had to truncate the address so that the letter off the apartment number 7B wouldn't get cut off. So we fixed that, and that reduced the number of undelivered ID cards. However, when we fixed it, it was just for new members. We now just recently fixed it so it also included existing members, so that if an address truncated, we're fixing it. So that's going to decrease the volume of return cards. In addition to that, we found another glitch over the summer, where when a member calls our call center and we open a ticket in Salesforce for it to be resolved, we were pulling in. It was just the way there was a glitch in the Salesforce system, and we were not pulling in the ID cards correctly. And so it wasn't going out to those members, but we fixed it. It's more about us pulling in flags, and there's certain flags that had to come in. We weren't picking it up, but it was fixed. I don't want to get into the technical details of it. And then the other piece of it is for a certain product line, we'll say with Gold, you have to be employed to select your health insurance. And typically they will not select it on the first day of employment. They may take 30 days to select their insurance carrier. And then there's a cycle, right? And so they may not get their ID card the first month of their employment. It would depend on when they select their insurance. And then we've also identified where we did send the card to the member's household, but for whatever reason, the member didn't pick it up. So it could be an oversight on the member's family as well. But I think to Brenda's point, through the evolution of the ID card and the glitches that we've been identifying, I think the amount of call volume will go down. And we're seeing that in the member services slides too, where the member call volume is going down, even though our membership is remaining stable. I think that has to attribute to the ID card resolutions that we are doing.
Thank you, Lana. Okay, next credentialing.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Alicia Lenhart. I'm the VP of Provider Network Operations. I too celebrated an anniversary just 2 days ago, 1 whole year. So I made it. Yay for me. And it's through a lot of support from people around the table for absolutely, starting with Dr. Schwartz. So with coming in as a new leader, I've done a lot of just getting to know the team, what they do, how they do it. And that has led to some process improvements that we've been able to do just with some simple things, some not so simple things, and just, reevaluating how we do things with a fresh set of eyes. It's probably not a surprise that happens when you have a new leader come in. So the first one I want to talk about is the automation of provider demographic changes. So currently, every change that comes in is manually keyed into our Cactus system. There is no automatic uploading in 2025. And, we wanted to look at this. We looked at this in updating the Cactus system itself. That was cost prohibitive. So we took another stab at this. I found out that there had been a project around this a few years ago, pre-COVID. We dusted that off with Ganesh's team, and there is a way to automate. We had to do a lot of prep for it though. So that's what we've been working on, and I'm gonna go over the timeline in a minute. But again, that great collaboration is really there at this company, I think, to really look at things with a fresh set of eyes. Even with all the HRP work, the IT team has made time for this project, and I want to commend them for that. I'll tell you though that, it does sound like, wow, manually keying. I was at a very big health plan and they got away from manually keying things just a few years ago. So it's not unheard of in the healthcare industry. For some reason, we lag behind some things around that automation and technology and using different systems. And I've been in this industry 25 years. I'm not really sure why that is, but I have seen it at other health plans that are 10, 15 times the size of this one. So, so our future state is to be able to upload bulk provider demographic changes. And although, there's some new board members here, you might not think, well, how often do providers really change their address and stuff? And it's a lot.
All the time.
All the time. And new providers come in and they come out and they move from IPA to IPA. That's one of the biggest churns we see, as well as our delegated provider groups, our faculty practice plans at all the big hospital systems. The doctors do move around pretty frequently. So there is a lot of information that comes in. I mean, thousands of rows every single month. So instead of keying that in, we're going to try uploading it. So obviously there's the obvious benefits are, maybe less, less errors, an employee doing this, but really it's the time it takes, so to free up people from doing that manual entry so they can do something else that's much more strategic, looking at our network in different ways. I'll be talking about providers that haven't been seeing our members. That's someplace that we could redeploy people once we get this automation up and running, to be looking at that more strategically. So
What
on
is
the
the
next
timeline? I'm sorry. What is the timeline for the automation of
on the next slide, we'll go through that. So right now we are working on addressing the formatting of the addresses that are in the current system today. So part of that manual entry is that there hasn't been a lot of rigor around certain ways we enter data. Sometimes an IPA name is put on address 2 versus on, where it should be, and things like that. So we've been working with the IT team on first standardizing the data. It's like a precursor to going through the automation because we want to get some of the junk out of there first. Otherwise, the automation will be really problematic and not work the way we want it to be. So that's what we're doing right now. So we're about done with that. I have a final file to sign off on this week, and then it moves into executing the IT framework. So IT hasn't written all the code and everything yet. To do this, we needed to finalize the framework first. So that's towards the middle of the month, and then we'll be testing the uploads by the end of October if everything goes smoothly. And so we're going to be focusing on our delegated credentialing groups, so faculty practice plans and their changes. So we can't automate a brand new provider. There's a lot of extra steps that have to be done. We can't necessarily yet automate a termination of a provider because that could involve moving members and different things. So there's a little bit more involved, but all the changes that come in, that we're going to start with the uploading, as well as we're going to be testing data that comes in from a vendor called Quest Analytics Better Doctors Program, which also feeds us demographic changes. We're also going to be looking to upload that. And so we're hoping to be fully automated with these change files around the middle of November. That's the goal. So any questions on that? Looking forward to it. Me too. I think everyone is. Then in terms of provider directory accuracy, so this is, you know, a friend of mine from many people around this table. We meet every single week on it, actually twice a week. We have a regular meeting, and then we have it like a technical meeting about the directory itself. And so, you know, what we were seeing with a lot of recredentialing that's been coming up is that we couldn't find the providers to recredential them, and we're like, why is this? Where are they? Where have they gone? You know, so we started looking into this. We ran analytics and found that there was a really large block of providers that are in our network. We think that they're here. We're not really sure, but they haven't seen a patient or billed us in a year for PCPs or 18 months for specialists. We found this really odd. You know, we don't have the biggest network in the marketplace, and you know, we're under the impression that all these providers are really busy and they're seeing our members, and that maybe there is even capacity that we need, extra capacity. So we started looking into this. Obviously, it started off with a list of about 5,000 providers, not unique providers, but addresses. Stop the recording for a second. And what we Hold on did, for a second. I'm gonna stop the recording for a second. So we wanted to fast track our understanding of the network, and we partnered with CAQH to do that. That is it's oh gosh, I can't remember what the acronym is. It's like council and something. It's basically where all providers put their information, their schooling, their education, their either residency and everything, and all health plans use it to credential providers and recredential. And we thought that if that profile was not being maintained, perhaps that would give us some insight. So we partnered with them, and you know, to our surprise, they could see about half of that global grouping because of the way the providers grant them access. And it came back that the large majority are in New York and active. There's about 600 or so that are either that are not practicing any longer or have left the area, and they have a new address for them. So they moved to Pennsylvania, Texas. It was all over the place. So that group, we're investigating. We have to send them, we'll be sending them a letter to notify them that you're out of our range, you know, for our products, and we're going to, you know, terminate your contract. But immediately we suppress them from the directory. That has been done so that we don't run the risk of a patient calling them and trying to get an appointment, or a New York State audit occurring. So they're suppressed, and while we do our due diligence. Then the rest, the almost 2,000, I had this grouped by delegate and then by other groups, and we're creating an outreach campaign for them. So and we're going to geo map them to see where they are, like visually, What we'd like to do is find out what their situation is, what their capacity is, and then connect them with our member services area so that when members need appointments, boom, these are the providers, they have access, you can go here. It's mostly PCPs, but there's definitely some specialists in there. So that's a project that me and my team will be working on this fall. So Valencia, this connects to what we just discussed in the previous committee.
Yes, yep. It aligns with that.
Okay. So we'll go over claims operations. You'll see that we have been relatively stable in terms of the number of receipts coming in, hovering around 860 to 880,000 on a monthly basis. There was a bit of a dip in May, and that was because New York State was standing up the statewide fiscal intermediary. So there were some claims that were being withheld as we were operationalizing it, but you saw the influx happening in June and July. So if we go to the next slide. You'll see here in the beginning of this year, our goal was to hit a 95% turnaround rate where claims coming in, we want to process it within 30 days. And we're trying to do 95% or better. That was our goal. And so historically it was in the low 90s, and you'll see over time we have progressively increased our turnaround time. And so very pleased to say that we've consistently hit 97% in the second quarter of this year. We peaked at 98.5% in June. So what that means is that our providers are happier, they're getting paid quicker. And then also within 15 days, we have been consistently hitting 92% of all claims coming in. We've turned it around within 15 days. And again, a little bit of a dip in May because of us operationalizing with the state, the fiscal intermediary public partnership. So you could go to the next slide. Roger.
Yeah, I mean, just to connect to Health Edge, right? We improved significantly. These numbers are probably better than the average in the industry. So now as we transition to Health Edge, now our providers and our network is used to this. This is the new normal. We'll have to manage it carefully, right? Because now they're accustomed to see the payments quickly as they should, right? They provided the service. We have a very unique setup here where the service is rendered and then you wait, right? In most industries, that's not the case. You render the service, you get paid, or you get paid and then you render the service. So as we transition, that will be important. I mean, I know we will monitor it, but it will be important to come up to speed as quickly as possible, not to disrupt and not to disappoint our providers.
I guess I'm assuming you will have a measure on the HIV SNPs solely when they go live, I'm sure.
We have KPIs that we're going to be monitoring everything.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Roger Milliner. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at MetroPlus. So I'll be talking about our membership performance over the last 12 months. So overall, MetroPlus has experienced a 1% growth from July 2024 to July 2025, resulting in about an 8,000 membership increase. The Essential Plan, MetroPlus Gold, and Medicare Advantage were the greatest contributors of the growth during that last 12 months. Overall, our membership is stabilizing, and we are only slightly below our forecasted target of 695 members. Membership growth is the outcome of new member acquisitions and retention. And what's not depicted in this chart is that it took us to enroll 255,000 enrollments, but suffered disenrollments of 241,000 to get that slight 8,000 membership growth. So it takes a lot of new enrollments to be brought in to mitigate disenrollments, but we have resulted in almost an 8,000 membership growth in the last 12 months. Next slide. So what are some of the key factors impacting membership growth? Eligibility changes related to immigration status, people obtaining employer-sponsored coverage, some people moving out of the service area, fluctuation of income, which causes coverage transition. And then I'd probably say the political climate is causing some apprehension or resistance to people seeking health insurance discussions with us. So the political climate with changes in Washington is also creating some fear for some people. So we have a lot of moving parts that are impacting our membership, but overall, we've had some growth.
So, I'll talk about payment integrity. We do, as a health plan, a government health plan, have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we're paying claims accurately. Payment integrity was stood up officially last year in 2024, so it's a new program. And we worked with standing up two external partners, Veris Health, which is our DRG and clinical validation, making sure providers are billing correctly on inpatient hospital stays, as well as Claris Health, who is second pass DRG clinical validation, but more importantly, doing data mining to ensure that our providers are billing correctly, looking at itemized bill review, ensuring medications are appropriate, and so forth. And so in 2024, while we stood this up, we were able to identify and successfully recover $38.7 million. And then to date, in 2025, we were able to surpass that at 40.5 million. And the majority of the reason of that too is because Claris Health, which is our larger recovery vendor, we officially stood up and started running with them in July of 2024. So it's been a year, and they're getting more acclimated with our claims data, so they're able to identify more, and we're working with our provider community as well. We're looking at other ways to continue to identify overpayment opportunities such as COB, workers' compensation, and so we are looking into those avenues as well.
Lila, have you guys looked at whether there's a correlation between the improvements you have with paying 97% of the claims versus the claims being paid accurately and whether they fall into this bucket or not? I mean, I'm
Right.
just, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's
most
my
of these-
question. Yeah.
Yes, most of these are related to retro enrollment activities where members were retroly disenrolled, or they could be unbundling or bundling of codes. There are itemized bill review where they're upcoding potentially, and they could be downcoding. They could be saying a inexpensive drug is more expensive than what it is. There is also duplicate payments at times where we're looking at that. So I do think it's because payment integrity is new. There's a lot more opportunity because the apple, is hanging lower on the tree, right? And so as time goes on, it'll probably get harder for us to do the payment integrity because we've identified and we right side. Not only are we identifying the overpayment opportunities, we're curing any deficiencies, whether it's a system deficiency, a contract configuration issue, we're curing those as well. We're working with internal folks, but also educating our provider network as well. If they're inappropriate billing. So if they're putting a diagnosis code in the third position where it should be in the first position, things of that nature, or vaccine for children, there are lots of other areas where overpayment or misbilling is happening. That's as an outcome is an overpayment. And so we're fixing those.
Great, thank you.
This is post-primary editing, right? Because what's the new name of Lyric? What is Lyric now? Or is it
No,
claims extension
Lyric is
Lyric?
new, yeah.
Yeah.
With all the M and
But the
As.
claim extension like prepayment, and then you have post-payment, right? And so there's always, and so payment integrity is new at MetroPlus, and so we're hoping that we would be able to continue to identify inappropriate billing and recover.
Yeah,
I
but
think the post-payment reviews, right?
I mean, Lyric is the prepayment, and this is the post, so we already have a prepayment through an editing software. This is what's left over, and we have clinical DRG review, right, through Veris. So we have Lyric, we have Veris, and then this.
Well, Veris Health is specific to inpatient is clinical and DRG validation, and Claris Health is more broad. It's second pass clinical and DRG validation, then it's everything else. Upcoding, IBNR, and things of that nature. So it gets more granular in terms of data mining and identifying opportunities. And then there is a vetting process that we implemented internally to make sure that it's correct. It's a correct case to pursue because we don't want to do any provider abrasions, so we're very sensitive to that.
Okay, but that's the reason that plans have multiple layers, because there are multiple layers that can be addressed.
So that's essentially what I mentioned about Vera's Health and Clara's Health. And we also have our own payment integrity team that oversees our recovery vendors, but as well as identifying other potential payment integrity opportunities. And it's not only within claim operations, internal audit can find some sort of trend that's happening or other areas. SIU could identify trending. And so we want to make sure that there's no opportunity for double dipping as well. So we coordinate with our vendors, we coordinate internally to make sure that we're not recouping twice. And so we want to coordinate that. So that's what our payment integrity team does. And they look at using our data and technology and really just looking at trends.
Thank you. Is that the last slide? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, if there are any other questions at all for any of our presenters? If not, I will adjourn the meeting and thank you for all the presentations and the information. It's always very helpful getting the information and trying to understand some of the risk associated with the plan, but also some of the challenges that you guys are facing in trying to transition.
Thank you, Valencia.
Right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.